Coming up on Broncos A to Z. With the NFL trade deadline behind us, we'll break down what Bradley Chubb's departure from Denver means for the Broncos moving forward.
Then, we'll relive the Broncos trip to London, and Alexis will catch up with Rookie of the Week nominee Greg Dulcich to discuss how the Broncos were able to overcome their slow start at Wembley Stadium in order to snap their 4-game losing streak.
Broncos A to Z starts right now. You're watching Broncos A to Z. I'm Alexis Perry alongside Zach Stevens, and we are happy to be back in studio after our week-long trip to London for the Broncos' second regular season international game in team history, and as we learned on Tuesday, Bradley Chubb's final game with the Denver Broncos. We'll get into the Broncos' Week 8 win here in just a little bit, but first, with about an hour and a half before the trade deadline, Broncos general manager George Paton dealt Pro Bowl edge rusher Bradley Chubb and a 2025 fifth-rounder to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for San Francisco's first-round pick in the upcoming draft, a 2024 fourth-round pick, and running back Chase Edmonds. So Zach, a year after trading Von Miller to the Rams, this time it is another core player and of course another pass rusher in Bradley Chubb. There is no way that this was an easy decision for the Denver Broncos, but what are some of the factors that you think played into this one?
No, it certainly wasn't an easy decision. Bradley Chubb, a core player. Just 1 week ago, George Paton said, we want to keep our core players around, and Bradley Chubb's a core player, but two reasons why the Broncos did this, and one of them you mentioned, a first-round pick in return. That is huge. That's something that you rarely find with the player. In fact, we saw many trades this past week being made where there's a star player being traded and no first-round pick coming back in return. So that was a selling point. And the second is, look at the outside linebacker room that Bradley Chubb was surrounded with, and that stays in Denver with Bradley Chubb's departure, led by Randy Gregory, the biggest free agent signing the Broncos had, led by Nick Bonito, the Broncos' first pick in the draft this year, and then the emergence of Baron Browning. That is a three-player group right there that you can really build around.
What do you think this trade says to that outside linebackers room in terms of what direction they're heading for the remainder of the season?
Well, it really says to Randy Gregory and Baron Browning, we trust you to be the starters and be great players, because Bradley Chubb, the number 5 overall pick, and when he was healthy, he played like the number 5 overall pick. He was ready to be a Pro Bowler again, to be an All-Pro. He was having a terrific season, and that says you guys are ready to take over. And Baron Browning, boy, has he been good when healthy. And the exact same thing with Randy Gregory, and so this kind of puts Nick Bonito, pressure on him to be the top backup in this group.
Well, prior to this trade, the Denver Broncos, they were not going to pick until the third round here in 2023. So obviously this is great news for the Denver Broncos. So we think, right? Bradley Chubb, he was on pace for a career year, and the production, the future production of this future 2023 draft pick is unknown. So of course this is a hypothetical situation, but do you think that there is more upside in this future unknown player than there was in Bradley Chubb in the coming weeks or even seasons here in Denver?
Well, I think when you look at it and you look at the 20th overall pick that the Broncos are slated to get from the Dolphins via the 49ers,
As of right now,
exactly. Yes. It looks like that's probably going to be a little worse of a pick because the 49ers are going all in on this season. But when you look at that, the Broncos need more help on the offensive side of the ball. So I think when all is said and done, this pick could help the team overall better because they have so much depth at outside linebacker. You can only put really 2 guys on the field at that position at once. And so I think it helps the overall team moving forward if George Paton's able to hit on that first rounder. And George Paton's done pretty darn good in the draft, so I trust him.
While there are some unknowns involved in this trade, there is a well-known in Chase Edmonds. What do we know about him and what the Broncos are getting in him as a running back?
Yeah, Chase Edmonds was paid a very big contract in the offseason to go join the Miami Dolphins after having a really good season last year. Almost 1,000 yards from scrimmage, that's rushing and receiving combined. He averaged 5.1 yards per scrimmage last year. Came to Miami, was disappointing, under 3 yards per carry, so a fresh start for a guy that's been productive just 1 year ago.
In other trade deadline news, the Broncos traded a 4th rounder in 2024 in exchange for Jets pass rusher Jacob Martin and a 5th rounder in 2024. You know, I spoke with Steve Atwater earlier today, and he was looking at the film. He said this guy can ball. So what do we know about the Aurora product?
Yeah, well, welcome home to Colorado. Like you said, born and raised here. Really cool for him to be able to come home and play for the Broncos. And he's an experienced guy. And we talked about Nick Bonito earlier. He may still need more time to grow into that backup role, maybe even a starter role in the coming years. And Jacob Martin's a great person to help him and help the Broncos step into that backup role if Nick Bonito is not there yet. And like you said, he is a productive guy. Had 4 sacks last year while being the primary starter.
Well, still to come here after the break, we'll look back on the Broncos' much-needed win over Jacksonville from the iconic Wembley Stadium in London. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go, man. That's what it should look like. A long way to go. Everybody with me on that? Hey, hell of a job sticking together. Hell of a job battling. Feels good to win a football game.
Proud of y'all, man. Way to win as a team. Defense fighting all third quarter, fourth quarter, they score. Offense go down and score. Defense, we need to answer the bell, and we did. Offense, close it out. That's how you win games.
Win on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
Welcome back to Broncos A to Z. While we are both still a little bit jet lagged from the Broncos trip across the pond, it was an experience that was well worth it because the Broncos boarded their flight Sunday night with the dub. Zach, I am sure that you had plenty of time to think back on this trip, given the fact that you had a 21-hour travel day. So as you think back on it, what stands out most to you about that London trip as a whole?
The atmosphere was so cool. Going into the game, I saw jerseys from all 32 teams represented there, which is something you just don't see at a normal game. And then from Sweet Caroline, everyone in the stands singing it together, to the atmosphere of people just excited to see football. Not a true home crowd for the Jags. So many Broncos fans there, and the Broncos showed up big for them when it mattered most at the end of the game. But then throughout the week as well, it started with the Tuesday night dinner where every single Broncos player was there. It wasn't mandatory. It was a great experience for the Broncos to get away, take a step back, and really bond as a team, and then finish it off in the fourth quarter.
Yes, and Broncos director of production Austin Brink made the trip to London, and he captured the unforgettable atmosphere at Wembley Stadium, like you mentioned, and documented the Broncos' much-needed come-from-behind victory over the Jaguars. Take a look.
Good morning to everybody and welcome to Wembley Stadium here in London. As today the Denver Broncos, 5,000 miles away from the home front, will face the Jacksonville Jaguars in front of a sold-out crowd. They've lost their last 4 games, and they have just been unable to get their offense on track.
The defense is one of the top in the league. They've been coming through every single week. They're keeping this team in games.
Let's see if Denver can score here. Jet sweep time. They give it to Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy follows a blocker and walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver! And with 2:44 left in the first half, the Broncos on the board. They now trail 10-6.
Here's Etienne. Why not? Took a big shot from Kareem Jackson.
An up-tempo has helped Denver after a slow start. Wilson shotgun snap, throws to Dulcich. Dulcich is there wide open, makes the catch inside the 10, inside the 5, and he is down at the 1.
Broncos need to put this into the end zone.
Handoff, Gordon running left side, Gordon into the end zone, standing, and Denver with the longest touchdown drive of the season.
First and goal. Sure they keep it on the ground. Tavius Murray into the end zone. Touchdown! And the Broncos back up on top.
Rustin run, inside the 25, inside the 20, first down Denver. Bad hamstring at all. Trevor Lawrence will begin. Trayvon Jones on the sack. Sips a little bit of tea here in London. The second interception of the day. K'Wan Williams, a diving interception. And this game is over.
While the pints were cold, the taste of victory was even better as the Broncos beat the Jags 21-17 on Jacksonville's European home turf. But it wasn't pretty for the Denver Broncos to start. They went punt, interception, punt in the first quarter. So what adjustments did you see this team make in the second quarter and mainly there in the second half?
Well, after the first quarter, Nathaniel Hackett went over to Russell Wilson and said, just take a deep breath. It was about as bad of a start as the Broncos could have had. but that's why you traded multiple first-round picks for Russell Wilson as a veteran quarterback that has the experience, that doesn't get too flustered in these moments. And one of the things I love that Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson did was go up-tempo and run that. And the Broncos just found life with that. Russell Wilson's so good at that. And then the emergence of a couple of guys. Jerry Jeudy stepped up big in this game, and Greg Dulcich did as well.
Yes. Okay, down 7-0 early in the second. Justin Simmons comes up with a huge pick on Trevor Lawrence in the end zone. Can you put into perspective just how critical that play was at that time?
I mean, it was a game-saving, maybe even season-changing play from Justin Simmons there. If the Broncos go down 14-0 at that moment, even though there was so much game left to play, I'm not confident that they were able to overcome that and put up 21 points on the board and hold the Jaguars to only 17 points. I think the Broncos lose the game. So it was really a massive play and was the difference in the game. That was such a great play by Justin Simmons. And Justin allowed that play to be there by having a penalty earlier in the drive, so it was a great opportunity for him to save himself and save the team.
Okay, we talked last week about Greg Dulcich possibly being the key to this Broncos offense. I think it's safe to say that he is the key to this Broncos offense. So what really stood out about his performance on an international stage?
It is just incredible what he's been able to do. In the 3 games that he's played, he is already arguably maybe the Broncos' most dangerous weapon right now. 87 receiving yards in the game, but 78 yards on the 98-yard drive that the Broncos had. He's a guy that just knows how to get open, and Russell Wilson already trusts him, and I can't tell you how rare that is for a rookie tight end to have success in their season, let alone 3 games in to their season. Greg Dulcich looks the part, and he is living up to George Paton's 3rd-round pick already.
I will ask Greg Dulcich here in a little bit about the red zone woes and how they were able to overcome them, but I have to get your perspective on this too. 4 for 17 heading into this game, 3 for 3 against the Jags. What clicked specifically within 20?
Oh, I love the play calling that Nathaniel Hackett had, especially to get Jerry Jeudy in the end zone. Just the creativity that he had to get Jerry Jeudy on the jet sweep, have Russ just toss it to him. That's where it starts. And then Russ getting comfortable, getting confident, running no huddle, just moving the offense. I think just really getting them into a groove is something that they have not been able to do. And we talked to Nathaniel Hackett on Tuesday after the game, and one of the things he said was how crucial it is to get that first down of a drive. And Greg Dulcich on that 98-yard drive was able to get that first down.
Well, we sound like a broken record week in, week out, talking about defensively just how impressive this group is. But what was special about their showing on Sunday?
What they did to Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, supposed to be the best quarterback coming out of the draft since Peyton Manning. Trevor Lawrence didn't have 100 passing yards until late in the 4th quarter of that game. Just shut him down. Now, the defense needs to continue to work on their run game, how they do against the run, but if you hold quarterbacks to that in this NFL, you're going to win most games.
Okay, I thought penalties were going to kill any chance that the Denver Broncos had to win that game. 10 for 71 in the first half alone, but somehow they were able to overcome it. How?
Only 2 in the second half. And that is so key that they were able to just flip it completely. They were on pace for the worst penalized game in NFL history with 10 in the first half. Nothing was going right in their way.
There were some
penalties.
Weird ones, too.
There were some very weird. Justin Simmons getting called for a taunting? How often are you going to see that? No, you're never going to see it. And they were able to flip that, hold their composure in the second half. And that's a credit to the coaches at halftime, getting on the players so that they didn't continue that in the second half.
All right, well, coming up after the break, some of our favorite play calls by the legendary Dave Logan. Then I will be joined by first-year tight end Greg Dulcich, who's coming off his best game as a Bronco. Don't go anywhere.
7-0 Jaguars. They look for more. Lawrence with a design roll runs to his right, throws a ball that is intercepted right at the goal line by the Broncos. And maybe that's what they need. That's Justin Simmons, his first interception of the season. Wilson shotgun snap, throws to Dulcich. Dulcich is there wide open, makes the catch inside the 10, inside the 5, and he is down at the 1. 38 yards, Wilson to Dulcich. They turn, handoff, Gordon running left side, Gordon into the end zone, standing, and Denver with the longest touchdown drive of the season, and they have taken a 13-10 lead with 5:07 left in the 3rd quarter. A 98-yard touchdown drive by the Broncos. Denver 5-man pressure. Trevor Lawrence will be hit and sacked with a penalty flag thrown. Draymond Jones on the sack. He sits down, and then sips something, a little bit of tea, I would suspect, here in London. So for Draymond Jones, that sack is his 5th.5 sack of the season.
Great to see the highlights from a Broncos dub, Dave. One player that was instrumental in Denver's win in London was rookie tight end Greg Dulcich. In just his 3rd game in the NFL, the 3rd-round pick led the team with 87 receiving yards on 4 catches, including 78 yards on the team's 98-yard touchdown drive. Alexis is catching up with the rookie following another impressive performance.
Greg, the team arrived in London Tuesday morning. You guys practiced at the iconic Harrow School there just outside of the city, and of course spent some much needed time together off the field. So walk us through the trip and just how beneficial it was for the team at that point in the season.
Yeah, it was really cool. Definitely a good chance to gel and, get closer with the team. And yeah, the school was a cool place to be. They said it was like a 500-year-old boarding school, so that was pretty cool. A cool piece of history. And yeah, it's cool exploring the city with teammates and stuff, and just kind of getting to go through that with everybody.
Well, you started the season on short-term IR, of course, but now you have the most receiving yards by a rookie tight end in team history through 3 games. So what do you attribute to your early success in the league?
Really just, the coaches preparing me really well, and the older tight ends really taking me under their wing. I really appreciate them. Really like older brothers to me, treated me super good. And just the positivity from everyone on the team, especially like you said, starting on IR wasn't ideal, but the whole time it was a lot of love from everybody, so it made things easy.
Well, Sunday at Wembley Stadium, you and Russell Wilson connected for 78 of the 98 yards on that go-ahead scoring drive there midway through the 3rd. So walk us through that drive and what really clicked for you guys.
Yeah, we started that drive, starting the huddle. Russ, Latavius are getting us right, telling us, hey, let's go do it, let's go drive down, let's score. We just needed that mentality, and then that kind of got us all juiced up, and the plays were there to be made, and we all kind of did our part and got it done.
Russell Wilson actually said post-game that he knew that you were special day one after throwing to you just a few times. So how have you two really worked together to cultivate the chemistry that we've seen on display over the past 3 years?
Yeah, Russ has been awesome since the first day I got here, taking me under his wing, and showed a lot of love, and actually took me and Montrell to an Avs game, which was really cool early on. So from the get, he was always on my side, and through the IR experience, he was always checking in on me, making sure I was doing well. And so I think that aspect of it, and him keeping me involved in things has really helped.
While there were flashes of greatness throughout that game, there's no denying the fact that the Broncos really struggled early offensively. So how were you guys able to really overcome that slow start and not just come back in that game once, but twice?
Yeah, we addressed some of the issues that we had on the sideline. They were doing things a little bit differently to some of the things we were expecting. The coaches did a real good job adjusting, and then we got playmakers, and O-line did a really good job giving Russ the opportunity to spread the ball out, and our running backs they ran downhill hard, so it worked out.
Okay, we have to talk about the red zone. 3 for 3 in the red zone
great.
On Sunday. The Broncos were just 4 for 17 heading into that game. So specifically in those situations, what was clicking?
Yeah, that's been a big emphasis for us the past few weeks, is really working on getting finishing in the red zone. So really just that extra practice that we've been doing, I think, has really been the key.
Okay, the Denver defense has a knack for coming up with a big play when it's needed most.
Definitely.
So what has impressed you most about the defense over the first 8 weeks, and specifically in London?
They're playing incredible football. Every single game, I don't know how many teams have scored, more than once on them. Yeah. So, hats off to them. They're doing a great job. And, while the offense has been struggling, they've been really good being positive and, keeping us uplifted and, knowing that they're there for us. So hats off to them.
Well, we all know not every team will have the chance to play on an international stage. That was your very first time in London. So what was your favorite part of that trip off the field?
It was really cool. What was really great was seeing all the Broncos fans there. I didn't realize that, we traveled that well. I knew we traveled well, but not that well. And so it was really cool seeing all that love and, all the international love from, fans in Europe in general. It was really cool. So appreciate them.
Okay. Did you do any sightseeing? Did you see anything that really stood out?
Yeah, checked out Buckingham Palace was cool. Westminster Abbey. It was crazy, to just think Westminster Abbey built in 900. How did they even do that?
Exactly.
just cool seeing all that architecture. It was really special.
When you look back on this, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, what's going to be your biggest takeaway from this past week?
I think it was just a great experience to go through with our teammates. to be able to experience something like that, because it's really cool getting to go overseas and play football just in general, and then in a special place like London, and then to come away with a much needed win is, you know, super awesome.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the bye week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Zach, back to you.
That's all the time we have for Broncos A to Z, but like we do every week, we'll leave you with some of Gabriel Christus's best shots from the Broncos trip to London. For Alexis Perry, I'm Zach Stevens. Thanks for watching.